Have you ever noticed how much we as humans accumulate things? Now, there are plenty of great things to accumulate in this life, such as wisdom and maybe wealth. The accumulation of good books. I think accumulation is inevitable and it is a part of life. But we as humans also tend to accumulate a lot of things that I don't think we need. And in this video, I'm gonna talk about those things. A couple years ago now, I took a hard look at my life and realized that most days I spent stressed out, overstimulated, and feeling really depleted, honestly. Now, there were a lot of factors that played into it. I don't feel like I nourished my soul the way it needed to be nourished. I also don't think I really nourished my body and my mind with good and beautiful things. I spent most days pretty much in survival mode. The first video I've ever made on this channel talked about why I decided to live a more minimal life. For me, there were a lot of things that kind of just added up all at once. I knew I needed to change. As a mother, as a wife, as a daughter of the king, I knew that I wasn't living my life the way I have been called to live. I knew I needed to cut a lot of things out in order to make room for the things that actually really mattered, the things that are most important in life. I had to stop accumulating junk. Before I started really trying to live a more minimal life, I remember always feeling like I needed something. All of the time, I always felt in need. Maybe it was the Instagram advertisements being advertised to me every day of my life of all of the new pretty things that I don't have and that I need, in quotations. Or maybe it's just the fact that we as humans are really eager to run to discontentment. At least I know I am, my soul is. But before I started making real changes in my life, I found myself accumulating things just for the sake of accumulating things. Maybe it was at a thrift store finding really great deals and buying things, even if I didn't actually need those things. And it would just pile in my house, collect dust. Or maybe it was a good online clothing sale. It's 50% off. Of course I need it. And then I'd get the package. It wouldn't fit me right, and I couldn't return it because I got it at a sale. And so there goes another thing in my closet to accumulate. It can feel good to purchase things. It can make our mundane life feel a little bit more exciting knowing that we're gonna have an Amazon delivery. Since I have started living a more minimal life, I have seen and I have felt just so many benefits. Having less visual clutter with my eyes has caused me to feel less overstimulated. It's allowed me to keep a more manageable house without spending hours and hours every day cleaning. Now, don't get me wrong, I spend a lot of time cleaning still. I'm always cooking things and in the kitchen, and sometimes it can still feel endless. But overall, the way I'm able to manage my house is night and day. The way my kids are able to clean their room and actually take care of their room is also night and day, because the amount of toys they have, the amount of clothes, the amount of shoes has gone down significantly. They're able to have a space that they can breathe in and not feel overstimulated as well. The amount of money we've saved, because now every purchase we think twice about it, we examine our house and figure out if there is a spot for it. We try to keep a house that everything in it has a place and has a home within our house. So I'm gonna talk about things that my family and I have done to stop accumulating stuff. One thing is we are both more mindful shoppers, my husband and I. My doggy's eating food if you hear munching in the background. Before purchasing things, let's say on Amazon online, it could be so easy to be in the kitchen, realize, oh, my life would be so much easier if I had this. Then go on Amazon, look it up, and in a click of a button, have it on your front porch tomorrow. Instead of making purchases right away, we try to wait at least 2 weeks. I realized that in 2 weeks, if I still need that thing, it's something I most likely actually do need in the house. And if I've forgotten about it or have come up with a different solution to not need that thing, then I'll take it from my wish list and I won't purchase it. Or if we're physically shopping, we will make sure that we actually have a spot for it in our house. Maybe it's a piece of decoration, making sure we have a spot on the wall, being mindful when we shop and not just shopping and trying to later down the road find spots for all the things that we're buying. But before we purchase, actually visualizing where that thing is gonna go and actually considering if we really need that thing. Another great tool that has worked for us is the one in, one out. If I were to add something into my closet, for example, I recently got this dress for Mother's Day. I love it. But when I got this dress, I took something else out of my closet and put it into a donation bag. My closet feels very manageable right now. And so I know I didn't necessarily need another thing. I donated something that I didn't need anymore. Something else we have done is identify/establish limits for certain things in our house. For example, the amount of plates and bowls that we have, or the amount of books we have in our house, which is probably the hardest one for me currently, because that is what I want to accumulate every single day. I want to buy a new book. But right now we have a small little section for books. We are gonna build, I think, a bookshelf eventually. And so the time will come when there'll be room for books. But for right now, my husband and I both have to establish those limits and know that we can't fit a million books in our house. Another thing, for example, is for our bathroom. We have a very small bathroom, so the amount of things we're able to have in there are pretty limited. So I used to own like a waver for my hair, multiple curling irons. All I own is one curling iron. I don't own hairspray or other things. I actually even just started washing my hair with eggs, which is a video for another time, but I'm not even currently using shampoo. Anyways, different video for a different day. And another good example is toys. We have established limits and we know the boundaries of what is too many toys and what we're gonna allow into our house. And if we bring more toys in, we swap some toys out. Creating organization, rhythm, habits is also super helpful. I just recently turned my boys' closet into a no folding clothing system. They now put their laundry away. Doing it that way, having their own baskets, it was good for me to visualize how many clothes they have. And I was actually shocked by the amount of clothes they had. And it was a good time for me to declutter things that we didn't need. Now, you guys, I am not the best at organization. That is something that I really need to work on in my life. But when I do organize certain areas in my house, it becomes very evident and very clear, usually right away, that there's too much stuff in that place. So I'm not trying to say I'm like perfect at this, I got it down and dialed. I do not. It's something that I want to be better at, and I find so much value in. When things are organized, most likely there's gonna be less stuff in that area, and it's gonna create just a smooth rhythm. Identifying kind of what triggers your shopping and those impulsive buys that are not needed. Yeah, I feel like identifying what brings you to that place of just impulsively purchasing things, it can feel like a temporary, easy satisfaction. And then that satisfaction slowly disappears and then you wanna buy something else. I think identifying what those things are, and I think it could be really helpful, at least it was for me. Last thing I wanna mention is just start small. This video is not to make anyone feel overwhelmed. Hopefully it's only the opposite. Maybe start with just one room in the house. Maybe the one that you're most overwhelmed with, or maybe the one that you're least overwhelmed with. I think it's just a matter of starting. And if I could do it, I promise you that you can. And if you take the time slowly to create a house that doesn't feel cluttered, overstimulating, it will be so worth it. Now, I just want to end on this note. The biggest thing that has helped me truly live a more minimal life is living knowing that the stuff I have, the possessions I hold in my hand, one, it will never satisfy my soul. Now, I'm thankful for the things the Lord's given me. I don't take them for granted, but I also know that they won't satisfy those things in and of itself. When I receive a good gift, I know it's straight from the Lord, and I'm thankful for that. But I also hold everything I have with a loose hand. My husband and I say it often. We'll go on to each other, you know, in our quiet times of just us two, just thanking the Lord for what he's given us and feeling so thankful. But my husband and I will usually end the conversation saying, but God's still good even if we didn't have these things. And tomorrow we can lose it all and God is still good. My identity, your identity is not in the things that you have right now in your house, whether you own or rent, whether you have a nice car or a junky beaver car. Those things don't matter. Have food on your table and breath in your lungs. You are blessed. I'm gonna end the video off with a C.S. Lewis quote. I remind myself that all these toys were never intended to possess my heart, that my true good is in another world, and my only real treasure is Christ. And isn't that so true? Thank you so much for watching. I'm satisfied.